were going to hike and do an overnight, but we decided to just do it all in one day, and then we'll do some other stuff while we're up here the rest of the week. But we're up here for the week on a little vacation, and we're going to go over and hike from, I think the plan is to hike from Neal's Gap south down to Woody Gap, and then my wife's going to pick us back up at Woody Gap. So we'll start at Neal's Gap and hike down to Woody Gap. It's roughly 10.5 miles, so we're going to do that as a day hike and see how it goes. We'll cross over Blood Mountain, which is the highest point on the Georgia section of the Appalachian Trail, and so that'll be kind of, I guess, the highlight of that section. But there's supposed to be a couple other good overlooks and things all along the trail, so we're headed that way. Be there in about an hour or so. All right, me and Thomas are fixing to hike just a day hike. There's a little banner up there, a flag behind us for the Appalachian Trail. So we're gonna get on the trail and hike down to Woody Gap. It's we're leaving Neal's Gap right now. We just went in the little store and we're headed towards Woody Gap. It's about 10.5 miles. So Thomas is leading the way, which he probably will most of the way. The weather's kind of cool right now, nice in the 70s. Supposed to get warmer. Actually, probably get up into the 90s by then as we go. But so we're gonna start here. It's a pretty steady climb from here up to Blood Mountain. About a 1,300 foot climb over the next 2 miles, 2.5 miles, and then
2.1 miles.
Says it's 2.1 miles right up here. Woody Gap 11.3, Blood Mountain 2.1, and we are leaving Neal's Gap now. Alright, so we made a stop here for a second so Thomas can shed the lower half of his pants. It is a little bit warm once you get to hiking. It's a neat big rock right here. Trail keeps going that way. So while he's changing his wardrobe, I'm going to take a break and get some water. Well, there's a nice overlook. I don't think we're quite up to the top of Blood Mountain, but we're getting close. But that's a nice overlook there. So we made it to the top of Blood Mountain, and you can see the view behind me. It's pretty spectacular. So we're only 2.2 miles into the hike, so I gotta go catch Thomas and keep going, but we'll probably make it up to the shelter and probably eat some lunch and then start our way back down to Woody Gap from here.
We just had lunch at Blood Mountain Shelter. Beautiful view. Nice shelter, nice stone shelter. Met a couple of guys. Nice talking to a couple of people up there. It's a pretty popular spot. But now we're making our way down the hill instead of up for the next 5 miles. And supposedly there's some water right down here at the bottom of this hill, so hopefully we're going to make a stop and fill up our water bottles, because found us a nice water source. Thomas is taking off ahead of me again. And we met a nice guy from Kansas who is section hiking. He started at Springer Mountain a few days ago, and he's going to see how far he can get by Saturday. So he's going to try to eventually, he said he's going to eventually try to section hike the whole thing, but he just got started this year at Springer Mountain. So I wished him luck, and hopefully he can get that done. Y'all probably can't hear that, but there's a hoot owl off in the distance that way. I'm sure y'all probably didn't hear that. And there was the answer. And there he is again. And went off that way. That's cool. Always love to listen to owls. There he is again. So this is Freeman Trail here, going that way. Not sure where that goes, but that's Freeman Trail. I came from that way. And there's a little campsite right over there. I guess you could set up camp with at that site if you really wanted to. I guess it's not a bad little spot. A couple places to sit, fire ring. So, alright. We'll head this way. Well, it's been a fairly steady downhill since shelter up top, Blood Mountain. It's been a few little gradual climbs, little roller hills, but came to a little campground here. There's a couple of fire rings and flat spots for tents and plenty of trees for hammocks. So if you're hammock camping, wouldn't have any trouble finding a couple of trees in here for sure. So looks like we're coming up on a crossing here. What do we got? Water and Jared Gap is down that way. This looks like a forest road, an old forest road. Looks like that way. And then up this way too. There's an old forest road. But so this is Jared Gap. We just came from Neal's Gap, which was 5 miles, and then we got Woody Gap, which is 5.6 miles. So this is the halfway point. So that's great. We're not going to go look for water down there because I heard it was kind of sparse. Oh, the ferns all down through here are really cool. There's been a few places where we've seen that. Just the whole undergrowth, just covered in ferns. It's really neat. It's a pretty neat tree. Kind of grows across the trail. And all the limbs grow straight up. It's kind of cool. Well, here's a nice overlook. Guess that climb might have been worth it after all. Really pretty out there. There's another good view. One last good view before we make it on down to the parking lot. It's been a good day. It's been a hard hike, but it's been a good day. Right, Thomas?
Yeah.
Thomas brought me a Gatorade from the parking lot. So he's already hiked back up to this point, and now he's got to go back. But I appreciate that. All right, we made it back to Woody Gap. Neal's Gap, 11.3, which is where we came from. And that is pretty much right on the money, according to my GPS. Went over Blood Mountain and through Jared Gap. So that's where we came from.
I beat you by an hour and a half.
Mr. Boyd here beat me by an hour and a half. So for that, I might buy his supper.
You're gonna buy my supper anyway.
He says I was gonna buy his supper anyway, which is probably true. But since he was kind enough to bring me some Gatorade, which means he hiked halfway back up the hill, I really appreciate that. So we're coming up on the parking lot. There's a little campsite right there. If you were interested in camping right around Woody Gap, there's a spot right over there. And the parking lot is right up here. So we are through.
Okay, so we made it back to Woody Gap, and it was 11 miles. We are headed into town, probably going to stop in a drive-thru or somewhere in Dahlonega and get something to eat because we are hungry. And Mr. Boyd back there has already got his shoes off, so I got to roll the window down here in just a minute. But hope you enjoyed the video, and if you're looking for a really good day hike that's kind of strenuous, the trail between Woody Gap and Neal's Gap, whichever direction you want to go, would be a good choice. And it's got a couple of good views, several good views along the way. And just if you're going to do it in the summertime, be cognizant about water, because I think there's only 2 places that had water, and one of them was pretty reliable. So if it's really hot, make sure you bring plenty of water and refill every chance you get. So thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we're going to get something to eat. Bye.